I define myself as an entrepreneur by circumstance. I was born into a very poor household. My mom and I lived in a shack. She was uneducated and she was working as a domestic worker. Very early on as a kid, I realized that the best that my mom could do for me was provide food and provide shelter. If I wanted anything beyond that, I had to go out and I had to get it.
When I see Karidas on TV, I feel very happy, and also I feel like crying. He was in Anzisha and Tshinstsholo and so forth and so forth. He's going to make me rich one day, by God's grace.
I'm Karidas Tshinstsholo, an agri-tech entrepreneur from South Africa. I run a company called Kula, and my message to you, it begins with you. Eta hola. I think there's a very poor perception of agriculture among young people. I think people still view it as an old industry that's only for older people. And the only way that young people are going to start embracing agriculture is if we start making it a financially viable alternative to a traditional job. So as the youth in Africa, knowing that agriculture is our competitive advantage, we need to stand up and start finding a whole lot of gaps in the market and start plugging them in so that we can be the breadbasket of the whole world. Kula is an agri-tech startup that exists to solve a very big African problem, considering that more than half of the population in the African continent is dependent on small-scale agriculture for an income. What we do is that we connect the client and the farmer directly. That client could be a processor, that client could be a supermarket, it could be a restaurant, and therefore having huge implications on economic growth on our continent. What the farmer gets out of the app is consistency. So by the time they put seed on the ground, they are clear on where their produce is going to go, how much it's going to sell for, how it's going to get there. And also, we're getting young people to embrace tech within the agricultural space. So they're actually using an app. We're moving away from the traditional way of doing things. We're moving into a place where we'll be doing deliveries using drones. And once we make agriculture cool, that's the first point of getting young people into the industry. So currently, we have about 600 farmers on the platform. The number is growing. We've got over 2,000 hectares that is currently under production. And that's more than the biggest commercial farmer in South Africa at the moment. Africa has about 60% of the world's arable land. Half of all small businesses on the African continent are actually agri-businesses. And more than half of the entire African population actually depends on small-scale agriculture for an income. Because of the value and the impact that we're having, we get a whole lot of media. So I find myself having to go to radio interviews. In some cases, I don't even have time to change. So I'll go right on the stage wearing my overall because I feel also that it reflects the truth of the work that we do. So we've just won an award from MTN that certified us as the #1 app in the country. We beat all the major banks. We've also been certified as the #1 agricultural solution within South Africa. And that award means a lot to us because it recognizes all the pain that we've been going through, all the hard work that we've been putting in. It kind of gives us a sense of a validation. One of the big problems on the African continent is that there's a huge lack of risk capital. A lot of funders are not willing to fund new ideas. They want to find ideas that are old and have already been tested. In our case, we've had to start with our first business, and we ran that business for quite some time. But after a while, we realized that we wanted to make a bigger impact. So we used our previous business to fund this one, which also says to entrepreneurs, once you start doing the best that you can with the little resources that you have, then funders start coming to you. So you don't need a funder to start a business. My dream is an Africa that is self-sustaining, an Africa that has African solutions that are directly linked to African problems. So we can supply the world with food 10 times over because of the land that we have. And we need to start embracing that because that is our competitive advantage. And my challenge to other African entrepreneurs is find solutions to education, find solutions to food security. There's so many problems on the continent that we can embrace and start solving because a lot of big tech companies have saturated the whole world market. The last remaining market is the African market. And if we don't embrace it, we're going to find ourselves being consumers on our very own continent.